started first.
Yeah. All right. So
this slate's better than the later one, right?
It is better than the later one. There's definitely more to do. Definitely have a strong feeling of wanting to go right back to Minnesota. I don't think that's going to be completely off the wall. Maybe playing Nick Gordon and Jake Cave in the same lineup is a way you can get a little bit different. Cave in the lefty, batting seventh. I think that he might be a little bit lower owned. But yeah, that's sort of my overall plan is, Minnesota, Cleveland stand out. I think Houston is definitely a really, really good play. And the White Sox KC game is sort of weather. We got some weather issues there. So I don't know what to do with that one quite yet. And then you have Luis Castillo, who just dominated the Yankees. And maybe the Yankees get him back here. Those are just he dominated them with a different team, but still. So that's my sort of initial look at what I'm thinking about. But you have a lot of pitching options, and I personally am just probably going to eat the chalk and play Cole and Bieber. But I like Joe Ryan, and I would like Lance Lynn if that weather was a little bit better as my other options. And I wouldn't fault you for playing Martin Perez or Luis Castillo either.
So let me get a sense of let me see what the weather's like in that Kansas City game.
You like that one?
Well, I'm just kind of a little bit behind everybody here. I did like that. First of all, pitching wise, I'm going to redo these a little bit, but I'm kind of inclined to be on the same page as you as Cole, and then Bieber and Lynn. But like you said, you got to watch the weather over there, and then also just like you, maybe little slivers of Ryan and Perez. I didn't quite get to Castillo, but like you said, it's going to bring his best, right? His first start at Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yep.
It's definitely interesting spot. And as far as the teams go, my first build, I have to redo them, was tied between three teams, and that would be Minnesota, who you mentioned, Kansas City, and then Baltimore. And then after Baltimore, I had a little of Cleveland and Arizona, but I got to research the Baltimore again. Why am I getting that?
Everybody, it's the old Perez thing. Everybody loves to do it.
Oh, right. Okay.
But Perez has been back and been on fire lately. But hey, you know what? This is a small enough slate. I'm not going to fault anybody for playing Baltimore. I'm a little more on the Perez side myself. I said that Minnesota and Cleveland stood out. I actually have Texas as my number 2 stack today. And maybe I'm just being greedy from trying to get my Minnesota and Texas yesterday. But by the way, it's hot in Minnesota. Wind's blowing out to right center field at 16 miles an hour. Wind's a little bit more crossfield, but at 20 miles an hour in Chicago and a little bit going out to left if that game does play. So these are all interesting-ish spots, I think. And that's why the total in that the White Sox game is a little higher than it normally would be, because Brady Singer was the guy I was actually thinking of at low ownership earlier today because of how bad the White Sox have been. And Brady Singer he's put up 32 and 33 in his last 2 games against Tampa Bay and the Yankees. The White Sox.
That's all.
Yeah, the White Sox have been one of the worst offensive teams in baseball against righties all season long, but they have been a little bit better lately. But I think that I'm trying to just not playing too many lineups on this early one because most of the tournaments sell out by the time that I'm up because I'm on the West Coast.
Right.
But Minnesota, Texas definitely stand out as my favorites.
Yeah, so Brian Brooks is coming in with confirming what you had just mentioned. Winds blowing out hard in Minnesota.
Yep. And you could do the other thing too. Joe Ryan, I believe in the talent. He's going to be very good, but you're going to get a very low owned anything from Detroit. And I think that everybody, Baez and Riley Green probably, along with Eric Haas, maybe the best plays. You could always throw Jonathan Scope in there at 2,600. But yeah, that whole game looks like it has a good hitting environment. It's probably worth noting that there's extreme pitchers umpires in most of these games today. The only ones where there's not are Cleveland, Cleveland, Minnesota, and Detroit, and then Boston and Houston. Everybody else is an extreme pitchers umpire on this slate, for what it's worth. So Garrett Cole gets it, as does obviously Castillo and Perez and all that stuff. So
if you don't play Cole, I've certainly no issues with you playing some Seattle.
nope, yep, agree.
And I think that the slate is it's a little too big to play a Seattle guy in the same lineup with Cole, but I think it's close.
Mm-hmm. I think it's okay. I have a lineup with Bieber and Varsho. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I actually don't think that there's really. I've sort of given up on, like, I honestly think even on full slates you can get away with it. Like,
oh really?
He's talking about it the other day. He's just like, I don't really care. Like, if I have one bat against a guy like a Verlander or a Scherzer or something like that, I have no problem. If guys who give up home runs and guys who strike out a lot of guys, I think that there's no problem with that at all. But as of right now, I did post my early builds in the Discord channel. I don't know if I'll be posting them on the site as well, because there's no reason for the first slate because we're already live right now. But I did post what I was planning on doing, and it's not a whole lot different than what I've got up there currently. So if you guys want to check that out, I may as well do so. Some individual bats. Owen Miller is really cheap. I love that. Like I said, I like Texas, so I like the Semien, Seager, Jonah Heim, and then I like Ezekiel Duran at 2.7 at third, because I needed some money. If I'm not playing Duran at third, I'm playing Ramirez. Nothing shocking there. Ramirez will be crazy popular as usual. And then one thing you could do if you want to get different also with this stack of Minnesota, just because I'm very focused on this stack. Mark Contreras is now outfield eligible and is 2K. And look, I'm not going to say anything great about this guy, but look, you've got Cave and Gordon who will get some ownership. I think Gordon is going to be the popular one. Cave is probably I don't know what you want to say about them as a better hitter or whatever, but Cave has got some power, and Contreras hit a home run last night, and that's good enough for me to take a weird shot on playing, mixing in some Cave, Contreras, Gordon. I'll probably have two of those guys in all of my lineups, because I'm not playing that many this morning. So I also like when they start the lefties against the lefties, because you get some insurance that they're probably not getting pulled, right?
That's pretty fair. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So, and I don't think that it's a big difference in general for some hitters, but I think in general, like, people overrate it so much that you just get the low ownership. So if Nick Gordon is really 5 times as owned as Jake Cave, that doesn't really make sense to me. So I'll just play Jake Cave, and I might even just play the other Contreras who no one had ever heard of until last night and hit a home run. He was the 2K catcher last night. Now he's the 2K outfielder. So you can't play. I mean, you could play all 3 of them, but I think you'd rather get.
Yeah. How many Contrerases are there now?
There's
like 3, right?
Yeah, there's at least 3. But I think they have another. I think the other Contreras have another brother, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I have to double check. It's like the Ramon. We had all the Martinezes in LA at one point. Ramon, Pedro, and then we had Jesus was supposed to be. Everybody kept telling us Don Drysdale was my family friend was his lawyer, and he was saying the whole time that that Pedro would be much better than Ramon before Pedro ever pitched. But then he said the youngest brother, which he was wrong about, would be the best of all of them and end up being one of the great pitchers in baseball. So that didn't quite happen. But
speaking of which, rip Vince Scully, huh?
Yeah, seriously, that was a sad day, for the Dodgers. Look, this is the soundtrack of my life. You know what I mean? There's probably more Vince Scully talk that I've listened to than maybe any other human being. It's kind of crazy, So definitely a sad day in LA, and a guy who
did he retire? Has he still been doing it? Or he retired?
No, he retired a few years ago. He came back and did a couple games, mostly just like a few innings here and there. But I mean, when they won the World Series, they did a special celebration for Vince and gave him a ring and everything. And even though he was no longer affiliated technically with the team, he's a big part of our past, and he's a big part of baseball's past. I think he's sort of the voice of baseball. He called Hank Aaron's 715th home run. Obviously the Gibson home run and all that. But yeah, big part of my childhood. So RIP to Vince, to Vin.
So I just actually redid the projections for the early slate. I'm gonna post them up. I'm done with DraftKings. I'm gonna do FanDuel now. It'll take me just another 2 minutes, and then I will.
Yeah, okay. I'll
I'm
talk a
gonna do
little
another
bit.
build. I mean, I'm here. I committed to like at least a half an hour here, so I'll hang out.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have anything. All that the FanDuel tournaments. I don't even like. I couldn't even find them at first, and then they realized they actually did have them, but not exactly the funnest tournaments. When there's a 444, $4.44 that's a 2K for first, and then there's a $33 that's like $50 for first.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't get in on any of those tournaments. It's just hard for me to get too excited about that.
Okay, so let's do this. So we're gonna upload this right now. Who are you playing, Rody? What are you doing today?
Yeah, let us know what you guys are doing. Pop in any questions or thoughts. How are we getting off the board? I mentioned my trying to get creative with the what's it called side of it. The excuse me, the Minnesota side of it. You know, playing Contreras and Cave, and you know, in one of my lineups, and then playing Gordon and Cave in my other one. I don't think that those will be double paired very often on this slate, and I'm not full 5-man stacking. I'm going for the 4-mans today.
Now, how are you doing that exactly? Are you're manually just making sure that you do 4-man max?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, that's right. I've got a 4-3-1 and a 4-4 and a 4-2-2, a 4-2-1-1.
What do we got here, Tony? You like the Astros and the Tigers?
Yeah, I could get behind that. I mean, the Joe Ryan is there's a good chance he goes out there and has the highest scoring slate of anybody, and then there's a good chance that he just gets completely wild again. It's just really hard with the Tigers to find, you know, like I like Haas. I think he can hit better than most catchers. Riley Green, I believe in the talent. Javi Baez, we know he's talented. Other than that, you're sort of just filling in like little funny pieces with guys who don't really have any upside, and you would certainly not play as one-offs. That's just the way I view it. But I can get behind that. Maybe a 3-man from the Tigers and a 4 or 5-man from Houston. I do think that Houston against Hill, who's probably not going to pitch that long, so sort of a bullpen-ish game is my guess. I think they make a lot of sense. I think they're going to have some pretty decent ownership, but the Tigers won't. So I like that if you're going to combine those.
I have to say, Tony, I kind of like that. The Tigers here, especially on a sheet slate where you're not going to need, in my opinion, where maybe you won't need that many points here either. I mean, like I think that this could be one of those slates where 50% of your team's points are going to come from your pitchers. You know, and you get Buxton in, and I think a very relatively, you know, very fairly soft 5,600 for him actually. Hitting first.
Yep.
Yolmer Sanchez. I'm looking at some of these guys I'm showing up with. Yolmer Sanchez from Boston. What about Boston?
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with Boston today. I like the matchup. You've got Tommy Pham in the lineup too now. It's to be a little bit of a, you know, you don't have JD, but like at least getting, you know, having somebody else there who's somewhat capable. Verdugo's really cheap. Christian Arroyo's minimum cost. Bobby Dahlbeck power at the bottom of the order. I personally am not getting to Boston because I still think Urquidy is pretty, you know, I think he's better than people give him credit for, but I don't mind at all if you want to go that direction. I don't think they're going to get much ownership.
Yeah, I'm kind of in Tony's world here with this Detroit thing. I think Detroit, Minnesota. So Arias is out, right? That's
yeah. Which I actually like better because no power top of the, like I'm stacking Minnesota, but I'm not playing Correa and Polanco or Urshela.
You're usually under on Correa.
Yeah, and because there's better shortstops. He's a good hitter who's not a great hitter, and he doesn't have a ton of power. So I would rather, you know, I'd rather play Corey Seager. And
is Luis Ariz still leading the American League in hitting or not anymore?
I don't know if he is anymore, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I do like what Rhodey's mentioning in chat about the the Yankees for some home run spots, especially the low owned Judge thing. Like, will Judge actually be low owned? I don't know about that personally. Wait, hold on. Is Judge not in the lineup today?
No, that's what he was saying.
Oh, I thought Judge was in the lineup. Wow.
He was saying any Yanks for a couple of homers, low owned, no Judge.
Yeah, I think Rizzo will be popular. I don't think anybody else is going to stand out as being a particularly strong play against Castillo, who's good against righties. Boy, it's got to be tough to give Judge a day off these days. This guy's chasing some history here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Garlic in the lineup. I have no problem with that. I'm very cool with the. I mean, we're not talking about a 13-game slate where we need the premium version of our lineups. Give me Buxton, Miranda, and then give me the cheap outfielders, and I'll call it a day.
KCR Chicago White Sox. I'm just looking at what time that game starts.
2 Eastern.
Okay, all right. So if we wait, you can always pivot to Baltimore, Texas if that game gets a late postpone, right?
Yeah, I have to look. I haven't looked at the whole weather throughout the day. I mean, because they have all day to play it. You know what I mean? So it's
right. But what I'm saying is that you have to make a decision before at the very latest 2:05, right?
Right.
Because that's for Baltimore, Texas. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. But also, one other thing about that is that there is it's more for the pitching. I'd be worried anyway,
That's
but
true.
I think that in general, when you have a game that starts that early in the day, I would always be more concerned for the pitchers than I would for the hitters. I still like Rhodey's idea about getting some Yankee power upside. Hey, no one's playing the GOAT, Matt Carpenter.
Yeah. I'm kind of under on Lance Lynn at this point.
Yeah, I have no Lance Lynn personally, but
okay.
I wouldn't mind it, but I don't currently have it. I actually think Brady Singer would be totally in play for me if I felt totally comfortable. Although his ownership just skyrocketed, so I don't know how that happened.
So if I'm not mistaken, Rhodey, if I noticed your post, you already put together your first NFL lineup for week 1.
That's right.
I saw you posted something. Let me see what these prices are like real quick. I guess I would imagine. Okay, here we go. Oh, they have 100. So they have a $5 and they have 100 for the Millie Maker. Oh, best ball. Oh, that's you doing best ball. Okay, I have no idea how to play that. But let me see. Running backs. Jonathan Taylor is the highest priced running back, 9,100. Derrick Henry, home against the Giants, 8,600.
I have to catch up on my baseball knowledge. I listened to an hour podcast last night to try to catch up a little bit because
on football. You mean?
On football, I mean, yeah. There's just a lot of stuff to think about. And my core plays are up for the early slate, by the way. For what it's worth, they're pretty similar to what I'm talking about now. So I'm not sure how much extra good they're going to do you. But I'm getting them up.
So what we could do, I mean, as long as you're content with your lineups, Bobby, if you want to put yours in, and then we could record golf.
Yeah, I'm totally in. I'm into that. I need a few minutes just to finish my core plays on SaberSim, and
okay,
that's pretty much all. I'll send it over to you.
Now, when you do your core plays for baseball, do you do like one from each position, or do you do like?
Yeah, I actually go further with it for multi-entry people. Like I do end up most days having like I would say 1.5 players per position.
Okay,
and then pitcher I usually have 3 guys.
Now we can set it up that I could put like core stacks or something like that. I would do something.
Okay.
I know. What's his name? Rhodey puts out a separate article, right, on its top stacks and things like that. But even if I could do it even within SaberSim, so I could click off a couple of things. I would do that. But we'll put that in our next meeting, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and just so you know, still one other little success to relay. Didn't win in baseball, but I took down a seat to the League of Legends qualifier today. It's a
There you go.
$1,900 worth of a ticket, which is nice. That'll be played out sometime between now and the end of time. So that's good. MMA is, I'm already preparing for the MMA card. Just a whole nother, hopefully another big weekend. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So why don't we put your lineups in, send me an invite for golf. We'll do golf, and then I'll
Okay.
let you know about whether I can be on live later.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Okay.
All right. Take it easy.